to my channel. When I was thinking of things I could do for the Christmas premiere, I really thought of like two things, and both of which I've done in the past, which is wrap presents and whip and chat. Both times I shared stories, and I didn't want to do a whip and chat because I'm not really diamond painting at home right now. So I didn't want to, I'm busy. I've got shop stuff, I've got Christmas stuff. My house is insane right now because of Christmas and because I've been working overnights. So I've got my Starbucks Frappuccino, apple crisp Frappuccino with 2 shots of espresso. Anyways, let's get to the point, because once you see why I'm like rushing this clip, you'll understand. So when I was coming up with the concept for the 12 days of Christmas, it was very important to me to do something that was true to me, which, you know, I always am. But in this case, I decided that I wanted to do the 12 drives of Christmas. Yay! So during the next hour, you will be taken on 12 separate drives, either to work or home from work. And I will be sharing a little piece of my childhood, or some Christmas tale, some memories from my childhood. Why does this taste like freaking coffee? I mean, not coffee, chocolate. Maybe it's espresso, I don't know. Anyways, it tastes like chocolate, but that is besides the point. So welcome to day 1, or drive 1, I guess. So I'm gonna flip you around and you will be good to go for drive 1. Welcome to the first drive of Christmas. So as I stated in the previous clip, 12 drives of Christmas during the next couple days as I just make my regular commute. And I chose to do this because I have not really been able to film anything at my house other than unboxings for a number of reasons. One, I'm still dealing with wedding stuff and like, you know, where to store my wedding stuff, if I should throw some of it away, maybe potentially sell some of it, etc., etc. So that is not possible. And plus, most of my videos lately have been car clips anyway, because instead of a whip and chat, I've been doing drive and chat. So I thought, what better way to incorporate this into what I'm already doing instead of taking more on, which is something, if you follow me, you know that I do all the time. I am always and forever taking more than I can handle on. So here we are. Drive 1, the 12 drives of Christmas. I'm really pleased with this idea. So, as stated also in the previous clip, I plan to tell tales of my childhood, Christmas stuff, you know. Oh my god, that guy's speeding. Look at him go. He got somewhere to be, baby. So, and I am already going faster than the speed limit. So the fact that he passed me like that, that's crazy. Anyways, so the first story that I want to share is, okay, so let's talk about this. We're adults here, okay? If you have children that are still very much in the Christmas spirit, if you catch my drift, maybe turn this one off, catch it later, catch it on the replay or whatever. We're going to be talking about the Big Ben, if you catch my drift. I'm going to give you a couple more seconds to exit stage left, or at least turn it down if it's a headphone, then I don't know. So we'll go ahead and get started. So this story is from, my sister was born, so I must have been over 8, probably maybe 9 or 10. So it was Christmas about 18-ish years ago. My family from, at the time they lived in California, they now live elsewhere. They've lived plenty of other places like Hawaii and Portugal, maybe Puerto Rico. I really can't remember, and that sounds so ignorant. But they've lived so many places that it's just I mean, you know, once you've lived in places like Hawaii, like I don't really like, everything else is just cake, you know, icing on the cake. Okay, so they were down, or over, I guess I should say, down and over from California, and they were in Florida, and they rented this condo, and we were having Christmas at their house, or Christmas Eve at their house, at their rented condo, and the whole family gathered there, and also there. Okay, so my cousin is approximately like 2 or 3 years older than me, so we were really close in age, closer than many of the rest of my cousins, and significantly closer in age than my sister. So we went to their house for Christmas Eve, and it was on the beach. So I remember walking on like sort of like a low fence that was made of concrete, sort of like a median, but it was a much higher median than like a road median. And I remember walking on this with my cousin, and I think a couple other of my cousins did it too. And if there's a picture that I can find, I will go ahead and include it. I doubt very much that I will be able to procure this, but if there is, I would be happy to include it. I'm sure there is a picture, I just don't know where I'll be able to find it. But one of the most defining moments of this time was, I have a lot of memories from this time, but one is that I got a dictionary that year, and you may be saying, wow, that's like, I don't know. But I don't know why, but this gift sticks out in my mind so much so that I remember it 18-ish years later. The other defining moment is we left after dark, and remember, it was New Year's Eve, so in my head I'm staring out the window and I'm getting so emotional because I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna miss Santa, because I really thought that because it was after midnight that and I was looking in the sky, and this will tell you how innocent of a child I was, that I still believed all the way up until probably like a couple years after this, which is why I kind of think it was 10 or 11 years old that I was. But I was staring out the window, so very sad, just so sad that I was going to miss Santa Claus. And I remember like, Mom, can you hurry up? At the time, of course, we were like 2-3 hours away from our house at the time, so I was so upset. And while this may seem so very insignificant, like now looking back, these two memories are some of the ones, like when I decided I was going to talk about Christmas stuff, the book, the dictionary, and looking out the window, hoping not to see Santa in the sky, were two of my most definitive memories from Christmas from this time period. So yeah, that concludes drive 1 of Christmas. I will see you a little later in the day, hopefully with a shorter story, because this clip is already 6 minutes. Welcome back to the 12 Drives of Christmas, drive number 2. I am on my way home from work, and I got a quick story to share. So for those of you who don't know, I have a son, and I had my son when I was 18. He's born in November, so roughly about a month after he was born, we celebrated his first Christmas. So one of the most notable things that happened his first year of life was, my husband and his family always went to midnight mass, but before that they used to do a thing called Noche Buena, and it's the night before Christmas. And so here I am, 18 years old, literally gave birth via C-section a month ago, and I'm sitting there with this 1-month-old baby, and this is the first time I had ever been to Noche Buena with all of his family, all of his dad's side of the family, and I had never met almost any of them. So it was I feel like I met like his cousins. I feel like we got invited to his cousin's house before I had the baby. But for the most part, I had never met these people. And here I am with this 1-month-old baby and my fresh C-section scar. And I'm sitting there just trying to so for those, well, none of you know, my birth of my son was quite traumatizing. I felt them cut me, and I didn't heal properly. I ended up, so trigger warning for like surgical situations, but like I said, I felt them cut me, and my staples ended up pushing out shortly after I had given birth. So it was just a terrible experience. And unfortunately, because of this, it was difficult for me to like stand upright. So here I am, hunched over with this baby, and you know, I dressed him cute, so it is what it is. But that was his first Christmas, and then we went to midnight mass, and then the next day, obviously we did Christmas morning, and I just remember I remember putting him in a boppy pillow. Remember the boppy pillows? I remember putting him in the boppy pillow and unwrapping stuff, but giving him like the paper, like in his fist, right? So that he could technically unwrap it. And that was my son's first Christmas. Now, obviously, he probably, this is not the first Christmas he remembers, but it was the first Christmas that I had with my son and my husband together. Obviously, I had been with my then fiance for some time before that, but it was the first Christmas that I woke up with, obviously, my child and my then fiance on Christmas morning, and that's the story of our first Christmas. Not a whole lot to the story because unfortunately when I gave birth, I suffered from extreme postpartum depression for almost a year. So I don't have like many like extremely vivid memories. I just remember bits and pieces, and so that was the bits and pieces that I recall from my son's first Christmas. I will see you for the 12 Drives of Christmas Drive 3. On the 12th Drive of Christmas, Abigail gave to you another story. So I don't know that I'm going to keep doing that, but I wanted to do it today. Today's story has kind of 4 parts. 2 parts now and 2 parts for the 4th Drive of Christmas. So the first bit of information that you need is that I got my first phone when I was 8 years old, 8 and a half. My sister was born, so it must have been sometime after I turned 8 and a half, maybe 9. Maybe I'm out of left field. Maybe I was 10. I don't know. I genuinely don't remember. So I know that I was in elementary school. I would know that I was in elementary school. My grandparents had got me a phone to text me so that they could, you know, not have to call the house phone, because at that time, when you called the house phone and somebody was on the internet, y'all know. If you know, you know. So they had got me that phone so that they could keep in contact with me without being on, having to call the house phone and interrupt the internet service. So I had gotten that phone and I was on that phone plan for a little bit, and then I switched to my parents' phone plan. But when I was in, I believe, middle school, I'm pretty sure it was middle school or high school, I really wanted an iPhone. And we're going back to when the phones were silver on the back, y'all. Silver-backed iPhones, like iPhone 3, okay? I wanted that thing so bad. And I had asked my parents, and they had said, you know, maybe we'll see, you know, it's you know, we'll see how responsible you are, etc., etc. We'll see, you know. And on Christmas morning, I opened a big box, and inside that box was a little box, a little box. And inside that little box was another box, and inside that box was D batteries and this heavy statue that we had at our house. And inside that box was a smaller box, and inside that box was the iPhone box. And I cried on Christmas morning because, like, that was the only thing I really truly wanted, because I really believed that having the iPhone 3 was going to make my life better, because I bought into the hype. I mean, I guess I still buy into it because I'm on iPhone 12. I think I have the 12 Pro. I got it for Christmas, ironically, 2 years ago. So that is it for this drive of Christmas. Come back stay for the next drive of Christmas, and I will tell you a little more. All right, here we are back for 12 Drives of Christmas, drive number 4. Where we left off was that I got an iPhone for Christmas, and that my first phone I got when I was like 8 or 9 or something like that. Now I'm going to tell you about my son. So my son got one of those Gizmo phone watches a couple years back. because it has a tracking device on it. Like I'm able to track where he is, especially when he's like at school, just like, you know, to make sure nothing has happened. So he had gotten one of those a couple years back, and long story short, the service was shit. And also, like, you can't take the call off speaker. So we're like, okay, eventually we're gonna have to upgrade. He's getting to an age now, he's 10 years old, and he's getting to an age now where we need to be able to get a hold of him, and we need to be able to contact him, you know, after care, morning care, if we need to get a hold of him when he's elsewhere with our family members. Just, we need to be able to reach him at our convenience and not our inconvenience. So we made the decision that he will be getting one for Christmas. Not an iPhone though, because iPhones are rapidly going downhill. My iPhone is 2 years old, and I am having so much trouble with it, whereas my husband has no trouble with his at all. So, and his is a Samsung. So he will be getting a Samsung S20 FE for Christmas, and like other stuff too, but that's like one of the big gifts. We're getting him, we're potentially getting him a laptop as well. So yeah, that is the 12 drives of Christmas, the story of this Christmas. Come back or stay here, I guess, for see, I'm filming this literally across days. So for me, I'm saying come back. Really, I'm going to be the one coming back, but you'll be right here. We are leaving the post office on 12 drives of Christmas Drive 5. So I believe that the story that I had, don't nobody tell Jenny and Grace that I went to the post office after dark. I will literally get in so much trouble every single time. But I believe the story that I had chosen to talk about today was my son's first time meeting Santa Claus. So most kids, you know, have either they love him so much or they're literally terrified of him. And I feel like my son had a mix. So he was both pretty impressed with Santa's backdrops, and gosh, I wish I had a picture of it. I probably do somewhere, and I could probably look it up, but I'm not guaranteeing anything. Okay. The way that these overnights have been working, I'm literally going in for an overnight right now. So the way that these overnights have been working, I can't guarantee that I will do anything anymore. But it was so magical, and it would snow every so often inside the little snow globe, and he loved it so much. But we got out there to Santa Claus, and he was not impressed at all. So what ended up happening was he freaked out, and we had to sit him in the chair away from, like, have Santa come up behind the chair, and we had to take pictures of him and be like, oh, hey, look over here. And remember, he was like one and a month old, so 1 year, 1 month. So he was not like super impressed with anything right then, but he was, I will say, very impressed with the backdrops and all the decorations and stuff. But we have got like 3 pictures. We got one where my son is sitting in a couch and Santa's behind him, and then we have one where their eyes meet, and like 2 seconds later, it was an absolute conniption coming from my child. And what I find really interesting is typically the kids that have bearded family members don't have as much of a absolutely terrified reaction to Santa Claus. So I have some bearded family members, so I got why he was like super not impressed, because he's like a strange man that we've never met before. But also at the same time, now my husband is much more bearded now than he was back then, but my husband had a beard, I guess stubble, I guess you should say, not really like a full beard, but at the time my grandfather also had quite a beard. So it was a little interesting to see my son absolutely lose it over that. And gosh, if I could find that picture, I'll you know what I'll do? I will go to Facebook as soon as I get into work, and I will see if I can find it. And that, my friends, concludes the 12 Drives of Christmas Drive 5. it was 2, maybe 3 years ago. I'm not sure on the exact timing, but my son was still, you know what? It must have been 5 years ago because I think he was little. So my son wanted to ask Santa for a reindeer, a stuffed animal reindeer. That's what he wanted for Christmas. It's what he wanted so bad. And my husband and I, we had to make it happen. So what's interesting about this particular case of Christmas is obviously it was before the Rona. It was back when my in-laws and we all still lived together. So my mother-in-law and father-in-law, and then obviously my husband and my son and I. So we ordered a stand-up reindeer, and he was going to be like 12 inches tall by like 18 inches long, and you know, he wasn't going to be a big boy, but he was going to be a reindeer that stood on his legs, like he was going to be stable in that. So we ordered that off Amazon. Everything seems fine. You know, we always wait to order whatever it is, or we always wait to buy whatever it is that he's going to ask Santa for until after he confirms it with Santa. Because the last thing I want to do is buy a damn reindeer for this kid and then have him ask Santa Claus for a freaking puppy. You know what I'm saying? So we had to make sure, we had to confirm, double, triple check, verify, and all that jazz. So we ended up seeing Santa late that year for whatever reason. And you know what? Honestly, it's been happening every year lately, if we see him at all, especially with the last couple years with COVID. So, and this year wasn't even COVID times. So that was a particularly rough year apparently for us. So anyways, he desperately wanted this reindeer. So obviously we ordered it after we had seen Santa. And everything's going fine, and then we check it and we realize that it is delayed. And we don't realize that it's delayed until the day before Christmas, December 24th. My mother-in-law and I went out. So I live in South Florida, West Palm Beach to be specific. It is hellacious during Christmas time. Traffic is absolutely asinine, out the wall, ridiculous. And it's almost always crazy, but like add Christmas in, add season in, you are screwed. So we're traveling, I mean, honestly, probably 4 or 5 hours out looking for this, a replacement reindeer, because we have to make it happen. He asked Santa Claus for it. It has to happen. Has to. So we go and we look at several like discount stores because they were on our way to Toys R Us. So we just pop it in because I would rather pay for the reindeer once or twice at a discount store rather than, you know, full-blown retail value twice. You know what I'm saying? So we go and we look for this thing. We hit a couple stores and we're just not having any luck. So we go to Party City on the off chance that like, hey, whatever, you know, maybe they have something. I find a little Beanie Baby and I text my husband a picture of it and he's like, yeah, I get it. It's better than nothing. So I get it. And there's that, you know, we're going to go to a couple more stores, see what happens. We go to Toys R Us. This will tell you how far back this was. Toys R Us was still in business, still had store locations. So we went to Toys R Us and I was not able to find anything. I was hoping to find something in the FAO short section just because they typically had more realistic like animals, specifically life size. So I was thinking maybe we can upgrade. No, they didn't have it. So I ended up looking down a couple other aisles and I found Sven from Frozen. I text a picture of it to my husband. He's like, yeah, I guess that'll do. Mind you, 4 or 5 hours out in traffic, several stores down, in the car, hours. Dealing with people for hours. Feeling pretty good. One of the reindeer will do, right? It has to happen. Like one of the reindeer needs to be under that tree when he wakes up on Christmas morning. So I take my treasures home, and you'll never guess what happened. A knock on the door, and what should arrive but the original reindeer? of how instead of getting one gift for Christmas from Santa Claus, my son ended up with 3 freaking reindeer on Christmas morning. Needless to say, he was happy. Mom, I was pissed. 12 drives of Christmas, drive number 7? Question mark? I'm actually not sure. I was supposed to have recorded this story last night when I was headed into work for another overnight, but I forgot. So we're gonna have to do this one now. So this is another one where actually all the stories I plan to tell today are all make sure that your kids aren't in the room because we're talking about the fat man up north. So just disclaimer there so I don't ruin anything for anyone. So I'm gonna talk about when I personally stopped believing. I remember this one particular Christmas. My sister was already born, and as stated earlier, she is 8.5 years younger than me, so I was at least 9 or 10. So maybe even older. I feel like I held on to Santa for a lot longer than other children, but I digress. So this Christmas must have been, like I said, 11 or 12. I remember questioning it, and I called my grandmother, and she got like unusually angry with me, and that's not something that she would do. Like, that wasn't normal for her. So I already immediately, just with that, kind of was like, whoa. I had begun to notice that. So what was ironic about Santa in this particular instance is that Santa wrapped presents, which we don't. In my family now, we don't do that. My son, my husband, and I, Santa does not wrap presents. But in my house, he did. And he also wrapped presents. He also Santa stopped by to my grandparents' house for the kids also. I started to notice things like the fact that Santa had different handwriting and different paper at my parents' house versus my grandparents' house. And that was one clue, the handwriting being different. My grandmother has very distinctive handwriting. It's incredibly small and neat, whereas my mom's handwriting is larger and more not messy, but my grandmother's handwriting is always a very tiny print, whereas my mom's is a little bit bigger and it's cursive. Even if it's not fully cursive, it's still partially, if not mostly, cursive. So that was, besides the paper, was one indication. And then I think I had seen some gifts that I didn't remember my mom buying, because when my mom was shopping for my sister, I would always get shown things. But I found these gifts in the closet that were not things that I remember seeing my mom purchase. So I was like, that's weird. So that was the year that I started to question things. And like I said, when I did question it, my grandmother got like unusually angry, and that was very uncharacteristic at the time. So I couldn't, it didn't really click into place fully until about the next year, because I had given Santa one final shot. I was like, all right, I'm gonna send a letter. I don't know what address. I literally at 12 years old went to the mailbox, stole my mom's stamp, stole a stamp from my mom, and made up an address in my head, 1212 Candy Cane Lane, North Pole. I don't know, something ridiculous. But I had sent a letter to Santa in the regular mailbox. So that happened. And I wonder if my parents ever got the return letter envelopes, because of the return address. I wonder if I even put a return address, because you put a return label or return address on it if it's undeliverable. So I wonder if I just didn't put a return address on the envelope because I didn't know any better. another drive. I just dropped my son off at school. This is literally probably, let's see, 40-ish minutes from the last drive before Christmas. But here we go. On this 8th drive of Christmas, I'm going to be telling you a story of how my husband, this isn't my story, it's my husband's that I'm going to share with you, but my husband, how he found out that the big fat man was not real. So what happened was, I guess he had seen a bike or some bikes in his parents' closet covered by a sheet. And on Christmas morning, he woke up and the bike was being passed off as a gift from Santa. He was incredibly devastated. And so now he is kind of like, he's low-key super triggered by the idea of our son figuring out that he's not real based on us. Do you know what I mean? Like, he does not want our son to find out that he's not real based on our actions the way that, like, he found out. So that is why there's a little bit of I solved it with logic, not emotion, which is crazy because usually I'm the emotional one. But anyways, I solved a problem that we had with logic, and I will tell you exactly what that is in the next drive of Christmas. On the 9th drive of Christmas, Abigail told you another story. So, keeping with the theme of Santa and the three of us, this is another one. You're going to have to turn me down, kick your kids out, put headphones in, whatever. For this one, we're talking about my son. So, he's testing. He's testing. Now he's 10 years old. I feel like kids find out earlier and earlier lately, because one kid finds out in school and then they tell the rest of them, and his whole class, all of his friends are telling him that Santa's not real. And I said, well, what did you say back? He said nothing. I said, okay. And he's questioned it a couple times, like when he asked for something and I said no, and he said he was just going to ask Santa, and I said, no, you're not. And I basically told him that Santa is magic, and magic only exists and is only real as long as you believe. The minute that you stop believing in Santa, the magic dies. And I'm still not sure that was the right thing to say, but, you know, as a parent, there's a couple things that you're not prepared for. Well, for most parents, most first-time parents, every experience is new. So you're not prepared for any of it. But I think the magic conversations, and those ones are a little tough, especially for us because he is our only child at the moment, and I'm not sure if we will ever get to have another one. But it's especially tough for this particular case because of that. Like, I don't want Santa to go away too soon if he's gonna be my only child. And maybe that's selfish on my part, but my husband feels the same way. I think mostly because of the mildly traumatic way that he found out. And then for me, I think just because I remember, and like, my son turned 10 last month, and it was very traumatic for me when I was pregnant with him, because I had an emotional breakdown when I came to the realization that the tiny little baby that wasn't even out of mommy's tummy yet was going to eventually one day be 10. And I kept it together for a very long time about the fact that he was turning 10 and about the fact that he turned 10. I've still pretty much kept it together. It's not like I've cried about it or anything. be like selfish. That might be for selfish reasons. But he's been testing his he's been testing his limits lately. And I'll give a little bit of detail. So he's into Pokemon cards at this moment, and I think that, so I'm a 90s baby, so Pokemon cards, I get it. Like, they were super fad back in my day. So I'm not so far removed from that time period that I don't understand Pokemon cards, so let me be clear about that. I also indulge in all of his hobbies. We spend upwards of a couple $100 every year for Christmas, whatever it is that he is his thing. Like, and let me be clear, if you can't, like, I'm not trying to brag saying that like oh, I can spend a couple $100 on my kid. I'm just giving context to the story. I also understand that we have been very fortunate over the years, especially because we only have one child, that we are very much able to do that. Especially considering, there's been times when we've lived with, like, a couple of Christmases ago, we were living with my in-laws for 3 years, and then we lived with my parents for his first Christmas. So, and then we lived with my parents for 6 months when we moved back from Maine, and, so I'm not trying to say anything about that. So we'll just skip over that, because I know that inevitably someone will get upset. So I had to do that disclaimer. But anyways, back to the Christmas crap. Like I said, every year we've indulged in his hobbies, whatever his fad is. Like, when he wanted Legos, we bought every Lego set pertaining to that particular hobby that he had. So, for example, he wanted this $100 Lego set that was Jurassic Park. So we got it, and that was a big gift. And then I got a couple other Lego sets that were also Jurassic Park. When his hobby was, or when he desperately wanted the BB-8 play set that was like 18 inches high, and the figurines were like 3 inches, and the BB-8 opened up into like a spaceship, and then we bought that. And then we also bought the Millennium Falcon, and whatever else Star Wars stuff came in that like particular playset genre thing, and we bought those. And then when his hobby was Hot Wheels, I indulged. He got the giant parking garage, he got the build your own set, he got the Batman set, he got the Joker set, he got the Lizard Man set. Like, we have indulged. If he has a hobby, it is indulged. But we have been indulging this Pokemon one, and I tried talking to him, and I was like, well, I'm not spending a couple $100 on this hobby for you to phase out of it. He's like, but I'm not going to phase out of it, because I've been in Pokemon phase. And I'm like, yes, you have, but how much longer? I was like, you're 10, it's, you're a big boy now. I'm not trying to discourage you from having a multifaceted of hobbies, but I think that you should pick something a little older. And then it became, well, my husband's friend has Pokemon cards and he's an adult. And it became, well, he has Pokemon cards. And I'm like, yes, he does, with adult money. You're asking as a child for us to spend adult money on your Pokemon cards. And he's like, well, then I'll just ask Santa. And I tried, like, again, with you're getting older now, and like, I don't have a problem if he wanted a collector set of Pokemon cards, but that collector set was like $200. And let me be clear, my son does not ask for $200 gifts like that. He wants a collector set, which, it's a different thing when you consider that it's a collector set. But anyway, so I was finally able to, for the most part, talk him out of it after a little bit of a traumatic response from both my husband and my son, because of the way that my husband found out, and because my son was feeling very emotional. Like, I was telling him he couldn't do Pokemon cards, and I was like, that's not the case at all. I just want you to, I want to diversify your Christmas this year, instead of pouring all of our funds into a hobby that may not exist in a couple months. This guy's gonna hit me, isn't he? No. Okay. He almost hit me. Anyways, yeah, so that's the 12. This one was a longer one, but I had intentionally kept some of them short so that I could talk about this one for a bit longer, especially because this one is most recent, most prevalent, and still a little ongoing. As stated in an earlier drive, he's getting a phone and a laptop and a Bluetooth mouse and the case for both the laptop and the phone, and he's gonna get a Pokemon Pop Socket, and he'll get like some Pokemon cards, but I'm not going to base his entire Christmas off this $200 collector's set, because $200 on, like, I really feel that if you were presented with a $200, like, I understand that they're not just paper, but if you were presented with a $200 stock of paper in Pokemon cards or a laptop for around the same price range, like, we're getting a cheaper one intentionally because he's a boy, because he's young, and, you know, $200 laptop, who knows how long that will last in a young boy's hands. But anyways, I digress. If you were presented with $200 worth of paper or $200 worth of laptop, what would you choose? On the 10th drive of Christmas, I'm bringing you a story from last year. The story of how we spent Christmas sick in bed because we had COVID. So, to me personally, it was always a little funny. Like COVID for Christmas. Like, we got COVID for Christmas is what I was telling people. I thought it was pretty funny. Like, I'm not gonna lie. It was less of an inconvenience than it would have been if I already hadn't taken so many days off in December for the holidays, for time with my son and my husband and everything. So it really wasn't that big of a deal. It like, obviously it sucked that I spent my vacation sick. And then ultimately I wasn't able to, like, it wasn't really a vacation. Like, it was a staycation. We stayed home and I just had taken like the day before, the day after, and, you know, a couple days around it off for Christmas. And then I had intended to send him to my parents' house, for the remainder of his break because, I had to go back to work. So the only thing that kind of sucked was that I ended up having to stay off, one, because I had COVID, two, I couldn't send my son to my mom's house with COVID, so that sucked a little bit. But ultimately we all got over COVID together, all in one fell swoop. Like, my husband got sick and he came home, like, he thought it was food poisoning at first. He was like, oh, I ate at the Chinese buffet last night. I wonder if they didn't, like, take care of their fish properly, because, like, at the buffets they leave it out. So you know, I wonder if the fish wasn't stored at the correct temperature, because my husband does not, like, when he goes to a Chinese buffet, he does not play. He gets crab legs exclusively, pretty much. Like, if he's paying $20, probably now more. But if he's paying $20 to eat at the Chinese buffet, he's gonna eat his entire body's weight in crab legs. So my husband thought at first that it was like they didn't properly clean or store or care for their fish. And, you know, then he had come home from work early that night that day because he was feeling sick. And so effectively, we think he may have gotten it from a coworker because the coworker was out the day before. But either way, the entire office basically got sick, and then I already was off, so it worked out. But for all intents and purposes, it was my husband, and then it was me right after, and, like, my son never showed any symptoms. So, but it's crazy to me because my husband got over it so quickly, whereas I took a little bit longer, and my son showed absolutely no symptoms at all. So that's the story of how we got COVID for Christmas. But our antibodies are antibodying, because I had 2 scares this year in 2022, and I tested negative multiple times. So, and, like, with multiple different tests. So it's not like it was, like, repeatedly the same test I was testing on, the same brand of test either. So anyways, COVID for Christmas, which means we got antibodies for Christmas. And yeah, that's our COVID Christmas tale. On the 11th drive of Christmas, we are winding down with the last two things I have to share. This one is a little bit of a throwback. We used to live in Maine for about a year and a half back in I turned 22. I turned 22 in Maine, so that's a little over 6 years ago. The Christmas that I'll be talking about, because I believe we only had one Christmas in Maine. I know, no, because my son had 2 birthdays in Maine, which means we had 2 Christmases in Maine. So I'm not sure actually which one this is going to be. I don't know. I don't know if it would be the first or the second Christmas in Maine, but I just remember my husband going into the woods to chop down our Christmas tree. We had the true chopping down of the Christmas tree experience. My husband went into the woods behind the house that we lived in, and he chopped down a Christmas tree for us. And it wasn't like super snowy yet, so he wasn't wearing like full like coat and all that. Just an overcoat, and it was planned. He goes into the woods with his little axe, and he looks like a lumberjack. And I've got to do a little bit of research on Facebook tonight and see if I can find that photo and a photo from an earlier story. But gosh, dude just ran a red light. Y'all saw that? That was crazy. He was not stopping. This is normal for Florida though. Like honestly, I would be shocked if he didn't run that light the way that he was going. And anyways, maybe he genuinely didn't realize it because he tried to stop for that one. I don't know. Anyway, that will be it for this drive of Christmas. I'm going to spend a little bit more time on the final drive and the conclusion, so I'm going to keep this one short. On my final drive of Christmas, I'm going to tell you another story. So, I launched a cosmetics line somewhat this year, within the last month or so, and I have already put out 3 holiday lip glosses, a lip balm, and cuticle oil. So why this ties into the holidays is that one, I did put out some lip gloss that was holiday inspired. I think I am all sold out. I think if anything I have 1 left, but I did take my shop and put it on vacation mode because I don't want to have to deal with shipping stuff over the holidays, and I won't be here for a little bit of it, and it's just, anyways, I digress. The point of this is, the reason that I am talking about it for the 12 drives of Christmas is that one of the gifts that I am giving to myself is more supplies. I'm really excited about some of the suppliers that I found for pigments. I'm excited about my spring collection. My spring collection is going to be insane. So yeah, I'm excited, and it ties into Christmas because I have been working really hard behind the scenes to be able to get these supplies and these pigments and researching suppliers, making sure I'm getting quality items and everything. And that's the gift that I've given to myself for Christmas. Usually I get myself, something, because it's kind of difficult, because everything that I want, like, people are like, oh, what do you want for Christmas? And usually, it ties back into, something that I'm doing, like for business wise, or like something that I want to try. So rather than have somebody else get it for me and not do the research that I'm doing, I decided I would do it for myself. But I'm really excited about the spring collection. It's going to be absolutely insane. I'm really excited for it, and I hope that you guys will come along for the journey of the spring collection, because like, you know, when you outdo yourself, like I outdid myself. I'm so impressed with myself. I'm so impressed with me. So anyways, that is the final drive of Christmas. I wanted to give you another story, but ultimately, like 12 is a lot. Like 12 is a lot of stories, and I set myself up for failure by picking 12, but you know, 12 drives of Christmas. Like, I know that I've been alive for more than 12 Christmases, so I should in theory have more than 12 stories. But you know, as you get older, I say older like I'm not even 30 yet, but I say older like, you know, as time progresses, you have certain memories that stick out to you, and then the rest kind of fade into the background. And like, sure, something might trigger that memory, but for the most part, the memories that stand out are the ones that are most special to me, and therefore I felt the need to share them. And then of course I did add in my husband's one story. So really I've given you 10 stories, but I hope that you enjoyed all 10 of the stories that I gave you from my childhood. I hope that you enjoyed my husband's story, and I hope that you look forward to my spring lip gloss collection, because it's gonna be banging. Yeah, so I guess I'm gonna close this clip out and then go into my outro. Literally 2 seconds later, but I wanted that dignified split. So thank you so much for coming along this journey. I realize that for you it's it's been an hour, but for me it's been days. I have been doing short clips over days and days and days. That guy cut me off a little. That's okay. You learn to anticipate it here in Florida, you know. But yeah, I hope that you enjoyed it. I wanted to do something different. I've wrapped presents in the past. I've done a regular whip and chat, but unfortunately, filming at my house right now with everything that I have going on is not really like super possible. So I've been doing drive-in chats as stand-in as whip and chats and stuff like that. And when I go live, I do face-to-face now, because I don't have time to diamond paint at home right now. Like, I literally do it never at home anymore. So, because when I'm at home, I'm, you know, doing home stuff. But anyways, I really enjoyed this format of the Christmas premiere video. It was something that was, like I said earlier, super low commitment for me, because I'm driving to work and driving home anyways. Like, I'm driving anyways. It's not as if I'm driving just to drive. These are trips that I'm taking because they're like obligatory. Like, I have to go to work and I have to go home. And that's one of the things that, like, I need to be more mindful of and more, like, aware of when it comes to what I commit to. Initially, I wasn't going to even be able to do this because I had missed the sign-up portion, but there was one spot left, and I was like, I've done it every year. I got to do it this year. But when I was coming up with what I wanted to do, I knew that whatever it was needed to be low commitment. And thus the 12 Drives of Christmas was born. So you have spent approximately 6, maybe 7 days, because I know that I missed filming 2 nights, meaning that one night, one morning. So I think you've spent 7 days with me. So that's a long time to share with me, and I know that for you it's been an hour, but for me it's been 7 days. And I hope that you enjoyed the scenery of South Florida, and by scenery I mean traffic, and I hope that you enjoyed my stories, because I enjoyed sharing them. Right, I am gonna sign off. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you like me and would like to see more from me, please hit subscribe. I'd be so happy to have you. All right, I hope that you are being safe, washing your hands, taking care of yourselves, and I hope that the day that this goes up is the 26th. So I hope that you are having an excellent Christmas if you are in Australia. I hope that you had an excellent Christmas if you are in the US. I hope that you are having an excellent Hanukkah. I hope that you are having a fantastic Kwanzaa. And if you celebrate none of it, man, I hope you have a good Monday/Tuesday wherever you are in this world. I stole that one out of Grace's book. Anyways, bye.